What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm talking about why Leo's longevity is not really for me. So, one of my commenters recently suggested that Leo might be an avenue that I could explore to get some answers on the previous video that I shot on my friend's failed attempt at HRT and why her hormone levels were so out of whack. And while I would certainly welcome his opinion, I don't know, his content's really not it's just not for me. He kind of creeps me out a little bit. Like every time I see him, I'm like fully expecting like Anton Xander LaVey is just gonna like fucking bust out of his chest and come back from the dead. But I've tried to watch a little bit of it. The only reason I even know who he is because Derek does that little threesome occasionally with him and Leo and Vigorous. And I always thought Leo was sort of like a pseudo-intellectual who's just like kind of trying too hard to like look really smart. And so I looked into his background a little bit. He's got a background in statistical analysis, like primarily like working with a bank or something. So I don't know exactly why that makes him suddenly this expert on bodybuilding pharmacology and all the things that you should or should not do to like maximize your lifespan, I guess. But I guess I admit, you know, the problem with bodybuilding pharmacology and really this entire topic is that there's such limited data. So all any of us really can do, unless you're like an actual scientist working in a lab and have access to the drugs and, you know, test subjects, all we can really do is either do our own experiments or read through the literature of studies that have already been published and give your analysis or your opinion. And so at the end of the day, that's all Leo can really do is give his opinion on what he reads. Again, maybe I'm talking completely out of turn. I have not watched his channel. I've only seen the things that Derek puts forth. And Derek and Vigorous and Leo all seem to be coming from this similar perspective, which is really the point of this entire video. So these are three guys who apparently at some point in their lives dabbled in bodybuilding pharmacology, used steroids, competed. I guess Leo was like into arm wrestling. It was interesting to see one of the recent videos where he showed that he had in fact been big at a previous time, because now he's like all like fucking emaciated and like sucked up on Adderall. And so it's always been kind of hard to take him seriously when talking about bodybuilding or steroids when he looks like he's never picked up a weight in his entire life. So that was interesting to see. That all being said, these guys seem to, for whatever reason, have had their fun and are now preaching more of a, they're coming from more of a harm reduction standpoint and or longevity standpoint, and that's great. Obviously the community needs more of that. There are so many idiots out there that have no idea what they're doing with anabolics and run around just pinning everything they can find. And so these guys' information is invaluable in making sure that people don't hurt themselves, like this kid that I made the video about, like 19-year-old kid on Trend. Just insane shit happening in the world. And so people need to be educated of the real dangers. That being said, I'm 40 years old. Like, I've got 3 kids, I'm happily married, like I've kind of lived a lot of life. I've done it all, I feel like. Like I've experimented with everything that you can really try in life. And as I get older, I find myself sort of staring out on a world that's passed me by. You know, I don't understand the world we live in anymore. The way things are changing, the things that have become socially acceptable or socially unacceptable, it's really hard for me aging to fit into the ever-evolving world around us. And so longevity is just really not my major focus. In fact, it's like way down on the bottom of the things that I care about. Like I want to live long enough to see my kids graduate and be out of the house, and that's it. Like my grandmother just died at the age of 95. And this woman's body was so insistent upon living that, I mean, it outlived my grandmother. Like she got to the point mentally where she was just done, and eventually she just stopped eating and like starved herself to death, and she recently passed away. I've had multiple grandparents live into their 90s. I know a lot of people in their 80s up, and there's just no part of being 80 that looks exciting to me. Like this looks fucking miserable. I don't know why anyone feels the need to live that long. So I'm going to give you an analogy that I've been saying since I was a kid. I feel like the world is made up of a couple of types of people. You know, you could break people down into two categories. There's the guy who goes out and buys like a Camaro or a Mustang and he leaves it totally stock and he drives it to work every day. He goes the speed limit, he takes no risks, and that car looks great and will last him a decade or longer, right? And then there's the other guy who buys the Mustang or the Camaro or whatever, the sports car. He puts the NOS on it, he puts the fucking headers, every performance part he can put on this car. He rags the shit out of it from point A to point B. He has a ton of fun driving this thing to the absolute limit. And he'll probably destroy the car inside of 5 years. And that's just, to me, that's just the way to live life. Like, that's always been me. I've been the guy that was trying to get the most out of life since day one. I have no desire to be 70, 80, 90 years old. If I can make it to 60, man, that would be really as far as I can imagine getting. And that's not some depressed shit. Like, I'm very happy in my life right now. It's just I feel like there's a point where it's sort of enough. You know, once you can't get around and do the things that you truly want to do, when I get to the point that I can't bodybuild anymore or fish or do all the things that I want to do without just chronic aches and pains, you know, a fucking walker or a wheelchair, I feel like there's more dignity in just saying, look, I'm done. You know, like, I've lived my life, I've had my fun, and it's time to go. And so I plan on abusing my body to the maximum until it takes me out. Like, I hope to one day literally drop dead under a bench press, you know, or a fucking squat or something. To me, that would be the way to go out, doing what I love, you know, living my life to the fullest. And so for these guys who have had their fun and for whatever reason are focused on trying to be as safe as humanly possible, that's great. Obviously, I think it's good for people, I guess, to do that, but that's not the kind of content you're likely to see here. Unfortunately, I can't even make all of the content I really want to make for a number of reasons. I'm hoping that will change very soon, but the life I live is to the fullest and to the maximum, and I'm really not concerned at all with the health ramifications. So, you know, to each his own. Again, I'm really not trying to hate on Leo. I don't know. It's not for me. And if he does have an opinion on why those hormone levels were, you know, behaved the way they did in my friend, I would certainly be interested in looking at it. But other than that, yeah, hopefully you guys got something out of this video. Hopefully it was entertaining, and we'll see you on the next one.